Okay, welcome back guys. It's time to make another little instructional video to help you out with some work in the textbook. The next topic I think we're doing is looking at the order of operations. So I always think it's a good tip to write BODMAS at the top of your page when you're doing this kind of work, or BODMAS. We will talk about the difference there in a moment, but you'll see questions. I'd say they look like and they smell like BODMAS questions, because you will see brackets, often brackets nested inside of brackets. You might see little square brackets, you might see the sort of round brackets. They're called parentheses, so just look out for that word. We often just say brackets. And the other thing you'll notice about them is there'll be a lot going on. There'll be various signs. There'll be multiplication, division, addition and subtraction, all sort of tangled together into what looks like one big mess. So the big tips I've got for you is the BODMAS is just a reminder to look inside the brackets and do everything inside the brackets first. And then I think of it as other operations. Now for you at this stage, there's no other things to worry about, but that will change up in the higher year levels. So then we need to turn our mind to multiplication and division. They are opposite operations of each other. So you can pick one of those and do either the multiplication first at this stage or the division first, and then do the other part of it, which will tidy up those signs. And then finally, if everything's going well, you're left just with some addition and subtraction at the end. My other big tip is that I see too many students try to do all this in one big power move in their head and get it wrong. So whenever we do this kind of work where we need to do a bit of BODMAS, I cannot say this strongly enough, that you need to write out your work, do some workings, drop down underneath and write the next line, and I'll get behind the light board and demonstrate that to you. I think that's the biggest way to avoid making a mistake. So let's roll with the light board and see how we go. So we're making a video about BODMAS, and I talked about the B for brackets. Okay. Fortunately for us in year 7, this part, the other operations, is not particularly important for us. So what we see sometimes, and you might have been taught this, is BODMAS to get you to think about index laws. But I look at BODMAS and that O, I think about it as other mathematical functions. Okay, now in the higher year levels we've got to stop and think about that. I don't think in this textbook right now at this moment you've given any index laws. So all we have to do is consider, I'm just going to write it out here, BODMAS. Okay, D for division and M for multiplication. So I'm just going to use the symbols there, and it's telling us, I think probably the best way to work is left to right. Okay. We can do our division first, and work left from right and have a look at if there's any multiplication there, we can do that. Now, it's important that we do those steps before addition and subtraction, okay? So when we get to the AS part, we've got addition and subtraction. Okay, so the same idea. Let's just work from left to right and work those things out, okay? So I know it gets confusing with all these BODMAS, BIDMAS, and some computers actually use BODMAS, so they actually do the multiplication before they do the division. So there's all these acronyms to describe essentially the same thing, and I think the key here to understand is that division and multiplication have to be done before you do the final tidy up step of add and subtract. So I'll clean the board and give you a few examples. What I've done now is just write everything out, and what I would instruct you to do is on your page when you're working in the textbook, just at the top of the page, write BODMAS. Okay, the questions that you see, and we'll work through these, they will look like questions that require some BODMAS, okay? They're generally, I think I said in the introduction, they look and smell like questions that you need to do some BODMAS on. So make sure that you write out the question correctly. Double check in the book that you've written it out as it's printed, okay? So there's no brackets here, so I'm looking at this division sign here thinking I've got to do that before I do the addition. So underneath, let's just do it step by step. Write out the things that you're not going to do so you don't forget them, and then focus your attention on the work that you need to do. And sometimes I do this. I put a line underneath what I need to do. So 25, how many fives is equal to 5? And then we can do the addition and get our answer, okay? Now, like I said before, if it helps you and you put them in the correct spot, you can insert your own brackets. And some of the questions will ask you to put the brackets in the correct spot. Let's do another one here. Let's write this out. And so I'm looking here, no brackets. I can put them in, and I can make some decisions. Look up here for my BODMAS, and it tells me in this situation I need to do the multiplication first. So 7 times 2 is 14, and finally the difference between 20 and 14 is equal to 6. Okay, and there's our answer. So perhaps I've got room for another one or two. So let's just do one, okay? Let's do a complicated one with combination of square brackets and round brackets and see what we need to do. What do we got? I see some nested brackets here. So this is a work that I was talking about earlier on. We need to find the innermost set of brackets and look inside here. Here's our innermost set of brackets, and let's do the work in here. So that's 17 take 9, which is 8. So my advice here, all the things that you can't do, write them out again, and then you can see what to do next. And we've got the square brackets now. We've got 10 minus 8. So we haven't touched this bit out here yet because we've got to do the work inside the brackets first. So that's 10 take 8 is 2. And now we're finally at the time where we can do some division and halve this number. That's nice and easy at that stage. So I'm not sure whether that was on the screen or not. So I'll just write it out there again. And I've got 2 more questions I want to do, so I'll clean the board and we'll do those. And again, we need to follow BODMAS. Okay, so we need to decide whether this is true or false. And let's have a look at the left-hand side. We apply BODMAS to the left-hand side, all this work here. Let's do it. So we've got 4 plus 6. Now the left-hand side here is equal to 10. And we're told the right-hand side is equal to 18. So we've applied the BODMAS and we've got 2 different numbers. So this is false. So we need to think about what makes this statement true. How could we make this statement true? And it's playing around with the position of the brackets. Okay, I taught you before about putting brackets in to make it easy to do BODMAS in the correct order. Okay, so that doesn't help us. That's not the right position to put the brackets in. So what would help us? We need something. This will work. If we put the brackets here, what we need to do is 4 plus 2 first, and then times it by 3. Well, 4 plus 2 is equal to 6 times 3, and that's equal to 18. So the left-hand side equals the right-hand side, and that makes that statement true. There's a final one here. When we get good at this, we probably look to see where we can insert the brackets straight away as we write this out. Okay, so if we did this left to right, I'd have to go 9 divided by 12, and that is looking pretty crazy. That is 3/4. Subtract 9 and that's not going to equal 3. So what do I need to do to make this true? So if I looked at what was happening here and worked this one out and just checked what's happening on the left hand side here, 9 divided by, let's do the work inside the brackets now, 12 subtract 9 is 3. And that is equal to 3 on the left hand side, and it's equal to the right hand side. So those things, putting the brackets in this location has made that statement true. And I see this type of work as the point where you understand BODMAS and